Welcome to DT Madness, Chronicles from the Third Life, episode 94, June 16th, 2024. So glad you could make it. Well, happy Father's Day and Baby's Daddy's Day, and to all you fellas out there. Um, and in good father, maybe American dad kind of fashion, I just want to talk about how the government has lied to us. Don't get into conspiracies a lot here on the DT Madness, but seriously, have you seen any cicadas? Cicada? Cicada? Jerry Garcia sings the crickets and cicadas sing in Terrapin Station, so I always prefer the cicada. But weren't there supposed to be like a trillion of them? And maybe they are all where you are, but I haven't seen any. And so this huge forecast of the cicada invasion, it's just another example of how the government is leading us astray. I've been contemplating this week about a few things. I got to watch the NCAA track and field championships held in Oregon. I believe they're there every year in the stadium that Phil Knight built up there. But I was watching the NCAA track and field championships, and I just really got to thinking about like what is the origin of the triple jump. Like I get the javelin. I get the javelin. I get that you needed to throw the javelin to kill the other guy on the other side of the war. I mean, I get running and I get jumping and I get hurdling even. Like I get those kinds of things. But in what scenario was the triple jump necessary? And that's what I don't understand. Maybe there were ponds or I'm not ponds. You can't jump over a pond, but like muddy puddles. Muddy puddles is how Peppa Pig would say it. Um, I don't want to look it up. I don't want to look up the origin of the triple jump because I don't really want to find out. I don't want it to mess up with what my own imagination is. My guy Matthew and I we talk about the fact that sometimes that phones have messed up because as soon as we have a question we can look up the answer and it's we don't get to sit around and talk like or at the bar or in the restaurant or hanging out in the yard about what our own theories are and then argue about it for hours and hours. We know instantaneously, or do we? You know, reference back to the cicadas. But because I did look up a thing that I'd heard recently, I'd heard that maybe Lord willing and the creek don't rise. That maybe that isn't about a body of water. Maybe it isn't about a potential flood, but that it is capital C Creek, and that the guy was talking about who said it first was talking about the Creek Nation, the indigenous tribe, and that is way cooler to think about. That in that scenario, yes, I will do this if it, Lord willing, and if these Native American warriors don't come after me. But I did look that up, and almost unequivocally, the answer is yeah, nah, that isn't what that is. So I'm still going to try to believe it, even though I'm speaking of track and field. Just real quick, I hope that if the like in the Olympic trials, or as the Olympics come up here in the next little bit, I hope that this runner from Florida named Parker Valby makes it. I don't know how tall she is. She's tall and definitely slender, blonde, and she runs the long distance ones. And she won all the long distance ones this year. First, I don't know, one of a few people who have ever won all the different, whatever, 10,000, 5,000, cross country, all the different ones. But she goes hard, man. Like she will run. It looks like she's running the like almost like she's running the 400, and she keeps that pace the whole time. And this one runner was with her. Um, and I thought, okay, this is going to be it for about half the way. And then about half the way, the person in second place had to just peel off. And Parker Valby kept going. So check her out. I also want you to do this if you didn't get a chance to watch. I want you to test your preconceived notions here. I want you to, maybe even close your eyes and imagine the person that you think won the men's 100-meter dash. 100, I believe it's the 100-meter dash, not 100. Yeah, they do meters. And I want you to picture NCAA champion, okay, like LSU, Alabama, USC, whatever, some other Utah, I think like Nevada maybe, or Nebraska, were running, and so there are 8 or 10 guys running in the 100-meter dash, and I want you to picture the champion. Who do you think won the 100-meter dash? And then after you get that image in your mind, I want you to look it up and see who it was, and see if you were right. Anyway, I did find myself perusing the web for like bed sheets. And how do you know? Like, how do you know which ones to get? On the new Tempur-Pedic, some of the bed sheets that we had that were pretty nice, they seem to kind of slip and slide off the mattress, and mm, not what you want. Do you want, like, where do you want your cotton to come from, and how many thread counts and all this kind of stuff do you get? Like, I don't know. I just want some good bed sheets. Sam told me Sam was home a little bit, the last little bit, and we were talking about listening to things on the radio. He was talking about listening to the NBA on the radio, and he was really impressed with the play-by-play guys. And I think I don't know, I think if I could choose a handful of potential other, professions, that'd be something I'd really want to do. I'd love to be a play-by-play guy. Or maybe like just the PA announcer at a major event, stuff like that. But I really would like to be able to do play by play. I think that's really fun. But the people who do this are really good at it. Doris Burke, I have to say this because like she was the first woman announcer, play by play analyst or whatever, color analyst on the NBA Finals, the first one in a major men's college sport, and I don't like her not because she's a woman. Like I'm not opposed to a woman being a broadcaster. She's just so dramatic with every single statement. It's like, oh my gosh, he had so much fortitude shooting that layup. And I'm like, come on, man. But anyway, but my pick, if I was to say who is the best play-by-play person out there, then I would say it's Sean McDonough, and I would say that it's him doing hockey, especially in the Stanley Cup. I'm not I was a hockey guy back in the 90s when my Avalanche were running things, but I've kind of fallen off a little bit with my hockey following. Um, Probably going to get back into it. But Sean McDonough is amazing at the way that he describes the sport and the action that's going on. And it's worth just listening to him. There's another hockey game coming up because the Oilers won last night over the Panthers, and so you should give Sean McDonough a chance, even if you just listen for 5 minutes, just to listen to how amazing he is. The AP reading is over for this year. We finished up AP Government. I guess that was on Friday is when we finished it up. I read about 100 hours worth before we went down to the coast, and then like got on a little bit. I did the what is called the concept application question, and then I got switched over to the argument essay, which is a lot more difficult to read. But I'm glad that I did because it allows me to see the rubric and how it works, and be able to explain that better to my kids. All in all, I think I put in about 121 hours, graded over 2,700 essays over about a 10-day span. So I look forward to getting paid for that, but that professional development it makes me better. It does, and so I'm always glad to do the reading. It does wear you out. Like it is a real thing to read that many. I've got to get some music here for handyman a handyman update, but I do have a really good handyman update. We've got this awesome deck. Like My dad helped us pay for a deck as a present to us. 2018, I think. Might have been 16, but I don't think it's quite that old. But either way, it's 6 or 8 years old. And the 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 only problem that we have, the only issue that we have, is that the spigot, which has a G, okay, in the South people like to call it a spigot, and most people would presume that that's spelled with a CK, but it isn't. It's SPIGOT, spelling bee guy. But the spigot for the outside hose is underneath the deck, and you can crawl up under there and you can turn it on, which is not a huge deal, but then you got to crawl back up under there to turn it back. So, anyway, I've been trying to think about what to do about that, and I don't know if this was the correct option or not, but I went and I got an old jigsaw, not an old jigsaw, I got a jigsaw from my dad's shop. He still has all the stuff. All the stuff is still out there that was in his shop, pretty much the way that he left it. Going to be a task that maybe this fall, um, me and my mom and some others are going to have to are going to tackle and see what we can do with some of the stuff. But I got this awesome little postcard that he had in there. I got it and I brought it home, and it says "Prune juice will set you free," and that's going to be displayed proudly in my home. Um, anyway, so I got the jigsaw, and what I did on advice from my guy is I jigsawed out a small portion of a deck plank, so that now I can reach down into that hole and turn on the spigot. I can turn it on, and I don't have to crawl up under the deck. Now the issue is now there's a hole in the deck, and so what I'm going to have to do today or sometime soon. Isaac says I just can't put an orange cone over the hole. That's what I told him I was going to do. But what I've got to do is hook or screw in, attach. There we go. A big block, a big wood block to the joist. I think it's got a T. I'm a handyman guy, basically a carpenter. And so then that the plank, the plank that I cut out can rest on those blocks, so that if you step on it, it doesn't fall through. It doesn't hit you like a shovel in the cartoons. Um, so yeah, that's going to be a thing to do today, or probably today, but definitely in the process of contemplating all that. But either way, now when we water the sunflowers, boom, easy on, easy off, and I'm pretty proud about that. Do you like The Office? Is The Office your show? I do think it's funny in stretches. Isaac will just binge it because he does that with every show. We're in Parks and Rec right now. Although Isaac has turned on to Breaking Bad, he's been telling me about cooking meth and all kinds of stuff. I need to watch that show, I guess. But we watch Parks and Rec and we watch Big Bang Theory, and we just kind of binge these particular shows. And once in a while, we'll come back around to The Office. Of course, it's always on. But I was watching the episode the other day, and man, Michael was talking about wanting to be in witness protection program. He's always wanted to be in the witness protection program, and I wish I could remember the person's name, but he wanted to be this really wealthy guy with a boat, maybe, that had a fancy dog. Um, anyway, as he describes his phrase, he says, "That's the life." And I got to thinking about that, like how that what that phrase means, pointing to somebody else or imagining yourself in a different station, a different time, a different space, whatever it is. That's the life. Um, I mean, sometimes we say this is the life. Sometimes you might be floating in the pool, with your orange LaCroix, and listening to some good tunes, and you're like, man, oh yeah, this is the life. And that's a thing too. But the thing I'm considering is that's the life. When we point to someone else or some other thing. Um, I just read the book called Good Lord Bird. I finished it up in between. We had a rest day, 2 rest days in between the regular AP reading and then the extended reading. And so I finished up Good Lord Bird um, right before we took off for the for Wilmington, and it really is it's just really fantastic. Of course, the author wrote Heaven and Earth Grocery Store, which has been much acclaimed. He wrote Deacon King Kong, which is also really good, but this is the best. Good Lord Bird is the best of what this author, and I don't have it in front of me, so I cannot tell you what his name is off the top of my head. But man, it Good Lord Bird is just really fantastic. And there's this quote. Good Lord Bird is about uh, the John Brown and the raid on Harper's Ferry and bleeding Kansas and all these kinds of things. But it's really about Osawatomie John Brown. That's what it's about, and it's historical fiction, I guess. It's just a novel, and it's relatively accurate. Um, but the main character isn't necessarily John Brown; it's this other kid um, that you kind of read through the eyes of. But it's just fantastic. Like it's it's gripping. It's hilarious. It's it's thoughtful. Anyway, it's all those things. And then there's this quote in there that happens to be on page 380. And just remember that says, "It occurred to me then that you is everything you are in this life at every moment." It occurred to me then that you is everything you are in this life at every moment. And that's good stuff. That's good stuff to think about, to not get caught up in pointing at something else and saying that's the life. What a challenge. But I did read Good Lord Bird and it was fantastic. And then I switched over to, I can't pronounce, I don't even know how to pronounce the Colm Toibin. I don't know how to pronounce it, but the new the new Oprah selection, who I hope she's doing okay. I saw she was in the hospital. It's like, I hope you're okay, Oprah. I know you might listen. But the new selection for Oprah's book club is called Long Island, and it says that you can read it standalone. It's part two in a series. So I was like, well, I'm just going to get the first one, and the first one's called Brooklyn, which apparently was made into a motion picture, and maybe I'll have to check it out. And it's not the same. Like it's totally different than Good Lord Bird. I mean, it's a different time. It's a different place. It's not, the narrative is of a kid who is enslaved from Good Lord Bird, and it's dealing with the issue of slavery, and especially on the plains, and so that's the language. This one is set partly in Ireland, like high society Ireland, or at least mid society Ireland, and then back in Brooklyn post World War II, where you had different, Irish enclaves and Italian enclaves and so forth. And so it's more prim, it's more proper, like but it's just fantastic. I got it right here. I can tell you. Yeah, Colm Toibin. I think there's some accent marks over the O and the I, the second I. So I don't know, but I finished Brooklyn and it's just fantastic. The character's name is Eilis. For the longest time, that my reading voice says Ellis, and it goes back to that some because that's easy. I I think it's Eilis, but or it's not Eilis because she says one time that somebody overpronounced the second syllable. But anyway, I'm into Long Island now, and I'm about a third of the way through it, and it's just masterful. Like it's just beautiful language and very interesting characters that don't go the way that you want them to. They make decisions that you wish didn't happen. But anyway, man, it's just really fantastic. And I heard someone say, like, I heard someone say that they don't read fiction. They don't have time for fiction. That they have too much to look at nonfiction. And it's insinuation, like the context is that this person is reading, you know, serious theology and serious whatever. It's probably just theology, honestly. And as if fiction is less than the same type of conversation came out of within the same conversation came out of a person. One of the kids is going to Davidson College, And a comment was made like, well, why would you waste all that money on just going to get brainwashed? And so maybe you can understand where these comments are coming from. If your theology and your belief is too flimsy to be challenged by education and entertaining other ideas, then you need to build your house out of something besides straw. You know what I mean? But anyway, and that's the same kind of thing about fiction, and it's the language, it's the dialect, the stories. It's also real. I mean, I this is where I get fired up. Okay, like it, it, one of my favorite quotes is uh, from Thoreau, and Thoreau says if something to the effect of, "What a miracle it would be if we could see through another's eyes, if only for an instant. If I could have your perspective, if I could feel what it feels like to be you, if only for an instant, how miraculous that would be." And as close as we can get to that, I believe, is by reading fiction. Because I don't know what it's like to be a 14-year-old kid who is not even a runaway uh, slave, but someone who was kidnapped, in a sense, by John Brown, freed by the free staters. I don't know what it's like to be. I don't know what it's like to be a person living on the plains in the 1850s. I don't know what it's like to be a female in my early 20s in mid-level society Ireland, where all these expectations are on you on how you're supposed to. I don't know, but I can get into that story. I can get into that character, and I can get as close to empathy as possible. Like, so maybe fiction is even more real than this nonfiction. Maybe it's even more real because how can we say that language could put a handle on life or belief or practice even? And so the story that gets created that brings this emotional and spiritual and mental, whatever other types of connections that you feel in your gut, that you feel in your veins, that is bigger than you. It's not that you read it to analyze it to figure out what I don't know. And I'm a history guy, so don't misunderstand. I got nothing wrong with nonfiction, but to summarily anyway, yeah, Brooklyn and Long Island, fantastic, very highly recommended. Um, because in both of these cases, but especially in Good Lord Bird, like it, it's just one of those things. Like it reminds you, this whole thing isn't just about you. That some things are worth giving up even your life for. But if it's not into death, but like at the least pouring yourself into some type of cause. I don't know. Like the society, the species. Like what are we? Ugh, yeah, I'm getting a little bit off here, but it's just this whole story, and I'm just a small part. I do want to play that part with all the gusto I can manage. I don't think it minimizes it. As the Avets tell me, I want to decide what to be and go be it. As Jerry tells me in trucking, put my chips in. Cards ain't worth a dime if you don't lay them down. And so, I'm finding that type of attention, that type of intention, easier to come by because I'm not trapped in my phone right now. And maybe I sound like the old guy, but I will tell you that um, Sydney, my daughter, who is 17, has also taken a break from TikTok, which she does miss, and from Instagram. And her screen time is down like 80%. And instead of doing those things, she's working, she's reading, she's having conversations with human beings. She would do all this kind of stuff before, but now her intention and attention and my attention and intention has this greater focus. And it really does seem like she described it that the world really gets a lot smaller right after you try to quit, but then it does open back up. It does. Like your attention isn't divided. And I don't think that we can put that genie back into the bottle. I'm not saying that everybody's going to get off the Facebook and the Instagrams and all, and the TikTok and all this kind of stuff, but it'd be cool if we did. I think it would. So yeah, that's some lessons I've learned from the Insta detox. And I think about like, I don't know. I want to talk about pictures and how we take so many pictures and so many whatever, maybe selfies, but I don't even not even talking about that. I'm not throwing shade on selfies. I take my fair share. But then if we take so many pictures, do we live there and not here, not now? Anyway, I don't know. I haven't really thought through that yet. But I didn't. I didn't take my phone with me very much at all to the beach. I didn't take very many pictures until the last day. I took a couple. I just left my phone sitting in the place. Um, and my my overall fear, like the draw for me to continue to have my phone, is so I want to be notified immediately if somebody needs something. And I think that that aspect of this digital communication world that we've lived in for the last decade or two has also been part of what's increased our anxiety because we know that we can get instant notifications, and so we know that those instant notifications could be something that is going to bring about an emergency, and so we're always living perhaps in this kind of what we would in psychology call signal detection theory, where we do always have this psychological expectation and anticipation that some kind of stressful event or emergency or somebody talking junk or whatever, that all that stuff's going to come around. And don't misunderstand. I like to be in contact. I like to know. But that knowing, as I'm fleshing it out right here and now, is really just about wanting to be in control. Like, if I could have knowledge of it, then somehow that makes me feel a little bit more in control. And yeah, I'm not. So, anyway, we did have a really fantastic beach trip. We went down to Wrightsville Beach, um, and stayed in a really nice VRBO. I mean, it's one of the best. It had 10 out of 10 ratings across the board, and it should have. You know, it could have just been family pumping it up because there weren't but about 50. But man, this place was awesome. This place was, as you walk in, it smelled clean. It was clean, and you didn't worry about any of that kind of stuff. We've been in places where you did. So much space, like plenty of room to sleep. I mean, you never sleep great. I never sleep great on vacation because it isn't my bed. Um, but that's just kind of part of it. It was a short walk to the beach. All the whatever, man. There was like a little basket for us with chips and stuff, and just stopped. I mean, had all the things. A little beach wagon. We rented the golf cart to ride around. It was a six seat, and so we just strolled along. I don't know. It wasn't quite like Ocean Lakes where there were different grids to drive through and side streets. So really, it was just kind of the main drag that we drove up and down to the point. But we would drive to get ice cream, frozen custard, um, and that was good. Yeah, it was definitely good. Uh, so yeah, the golf cart was fun. We did visit UNCW while we were down as we continue the college tour season. And we just weren't really impressed with the dub, and that's too bad. I remember having, I mean, I spent a lot more time there probably than I did at Davidson, which is a problem, you know. But I loved UNCW. I love the beach, I guess, is really what I love. And but the tour guide, she really never did emphasize or even acknowledge that we're talking about college here. Like we didn't talk about academics much at all. Um, the campus really seemed kind of plain. I don't know. I don't mean to be too hard. But Furman still remains, I think, at the top of the list for our choices. But we got a few more to come up with to go here in the next month, so we'll continue that update. But UNCW isn't going to be the place, I don't think. But man, we did. It's just an easy, special time with my fam, man. With my sons, SUNS. The place did have one of those big, giant makeup mirrors in our master suite thing, our master room with the big bathroom and all that kind of stuff. Like, I guess I never really looked in one of those giant makeup mirrors for. I don't know why you need to see yourself that close. Somebody needs to tell me why. Um, Although maybe I need to tell you why I would just stare at myself in that big giant makeup mirror. I got my own issues, I guess, for sure. Um, anyway, man, I forgot to mention, like before I went, I had Sarah had an appointment for a massage, but she wasn't able to go, so I sacrificed and took the spot, and so I got a massage, and man, my like I got these knots in my shoulder blade areas. Um, I don't know, I feel it for sure when I'm driving. I guess that's where I put my stress. And it wasn't as bad as last time, And so I made that remark as she was working through the knot. I'm like, well, it's still knotty, but not as bad as it was last time. And then my person that does my massages, Erin, she says, well, I found that it takes a little bit to get to it with you. And I says, because I know what she was talking about. She's talking about she's got to work through this muscle and massage down there, down on my lower back. You know what I mean? Okay. Stop giggling, Matthew and David. But um, massage like different areas of muscle in order to free up the knot. But she said it takes a little bit to get to it with you, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, that's it. Because I'm not a big fan of small talk. I'm not a person that's going to jump right into the depths though with you, and if I don't know you, and I'm not going to know you at the very beginning because I'm reluctant in that way. But if you do take a little bit of time, then we could talk about things like fiction and real type stuff. And I hope that maybe we can. She said, I was kind of like an onion, peel the layers back. But she said no, like a parfait, which made her laugh because she remembered that that's what Shrek said. And so yeah, I'm like a parfait, which made me realize I've never seen Shrek. Um, I'm not really a DreamWorks guy. I was even going to try to do my top five, but when I looked at the list of DreamWorks animated films, I really haven't seen very many of them. I've seen the Kung Fu Pandas, and I really like those. I've seen How to Train Your Dragon, and those were good. And I like the Croods, at least the first one. But that's all. I haven't seen any of the other ones. Not Puss in Boots, not Megamind, not what are some of these other ones on here? I don't know. Um, Baby Boss. I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen Penguins of Madagascar or Madagascar. None of that. So, but I do. I think I might want to watch Shrek since I am a parfait. I was always a what's the other Pixar guy? In fact, I thought about going to see Inside Out 2 in the theater. I don't know if any of my kids will even want to go with me. I might go solo because I was watching Inside Out 1 last night, and man, I got all teary eyed at the end, like I always do. Anyway, babbling. Nothing much, too much coming up. Almost really to the vacation here. I'm gonna finish up Long Island probably today or tomorrow, and then the next book on tap is it is nonfiction. It's Ken Wilber, philosophy, one of the great philosophers of our time, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion. Who has a new book out? I hope it's a little bit some different. It's called Finding the Path to Radical Wholeness or something like that. But I really do enjoy his synthesis of major thought traditions and such. And so that one probably take me some time to work through. We've got tennis camp coming up this week, 8 to 10 every morning, and so that'll be my first summer tennis camp as the old head ball coach here. Although Coach Peeler is helping with that as well, and then after that, it really will be summertime. I've got some Madness merch on the way. I purchased some stickers with the design with the sequoia cones, and the orange and the green and the blue with the Chronicles of the Third Life. If you've ever seen that, you should be able to see it on the Podbean, I guess, or on the Apple Podcast. So I've got some stickers coming. I only got 30 of them, and so I'm gonna probably say I've only got 15 to give away. But if you want one, this is maybe a stretch, but if you want one, I'll be glad to mail you a DT Madness Chronicles from the Third Life sticker. You just got to email me your address where you want me to mail it. And you can email me at churchof6@gmail. That's CHURCHOF, and then the number six. CHURCHOF6@gmail.com. That's the number six, churchof6@gmail. If you'll email me your address, if you want a sticker, then I guess the first 15 people who do that, I'll mail it out to you. And I've even thought about it. We'll see. We'll see what happens with this. If 15 people really want a sticker, then maybe we'll do some type of newsletter and maybe some type of literature review, like book study via. Maybe we'll zoom it up sometime and have a digital fiction review. We'll see. Anyway, let's stop babbling here. But happy Father's Day to you all out there. First one without my old man being here with me, but I got his jigsaw, and prune juice will set you free. This has been a Church of Six production, brought to you by the Bucket of Life. Make your ripples, y'all. By the rope of relationship, by the foundation tower of stone, the wall of belief, the token of hope, and by the magic rock times one received and one given. Nothing divine is desperate, and in order to be, try to never seem. Esse quam videri. May all your circumstances serve to awaken compassion, and as you go, teach peace. Don't forget to believe, y'all, and be live. Grace and peace, my friends.